Hey everyone, let's go ahead and get started. This webinar will be about 15 minutes long, and I'll answer some questions in the end. And don't worry, we'll send out the recording too. I want to begin by just saying thank you. I really appreciate you taking some time to learn about the best practices in outbound lead generation. My promise to you today is to create value, hopefully be entertaining, and even have a little bit of fun. So what I'm going to do is share some knowledge and experiences from the Carruthers Group. We're a company focused on creating high-performing sales funnels. We've actually been doing outbound lead generation since 2010 and generated thousands of opportunities for companies in just about every industry you can think of. And one of the biggest things we found is that the sales world has changed. And this means how you sell needs to change too. Right out of the gate, I have something really important to share. Cold calling is stupid. That's right. I said it. Cold calling is stupid. Stop doing it immediately. The world has changed. We don't need to do this anymore. You know, it might have worked in the past when this woman was still alive, maybe in the 90s or even the 2000s, but it's simply not effective anymore. Hello, Mildred? Hi, my name's not going to be familiar to you, but may I tell you why I'm calling? What? I can barely hear you. No, your name's not familiar to me. Forget about it, right? Whatever your cold calling script, whatever your cold calling technique, it's just simply never going to be as effective as calling people that are already interested in learning more about your value. I would imagine most of you don't even need convincing that cold calling isn't effective. And I would imagine some of you are relieved. You just let out a big sigh that I told everyone listening to stop cold calling. But if you don't believe me that you need to stop cold calling right now, then let me give you a quick example. Oh, and by the way, this is the CCDB, the cold calling dodo bird. And we all know what happened to the dodo bird, right? So here's the example. Pretend you're in Las Vegas at the roulette wheel. You have $1,000 to put on one number. What number are you going to put it on? Or in other words, who are you going to call? Traditional cold calling is a game of chance, and the odds are simply not in your favor. Do you have the right lead list? Do you have the right contact information? Is anyone even going to pick up? And if they do, are they going to be interested? And what the hell are you going to say? If you still don't believe me, that cold calling is dead, check this out. How many leads does it take to get an appointment? Well, let's run through a little exercise. Let's say you have a lead list of 100 leads, and you call each one of them. How many conversations do you think you're really going to have? Let's just say you talk to 1 in 20 leads. That's 5% of the population picking up the phone, giving you a chance to have a conversation with them. And side note, that number is actually pretty darn good. We've seen some lead lists in some verticals where we have one conversation in 50 dials. Crazy, right? Okay, so let's say that even 20% of the people that you talk to have some level of interest, and that another 20% of those people that have the interest agree to take an appointment to learn more. So out of 100 leads, that's only 0.2 appointments. Go ahead and do the math. When I do it, it pencils out that you'll have to make 500 dials to get one appointment. So what's a sales team to do if cold calling doesn't work? Well, I'm glad you asked. We believe in action-based calling. What's action-based calling? It means you call leads that have taken an action, leads that have some awareness about your company, even if that interest is minimal. So how does action-based calling work? First, it all starts with the audience and value. Who is the audience that is best suited for your offering, and what is most valuable to them? Here's a hint. What's valuable to them is probably not just learning about your product or service. Not yet, at least. Nor is it going to be about telling the lead how great your company is. So here's the key. So really listen to this part. Value is created when you provide something that is valuable to your audience. Something that'll make their individual job easier. Something that gives them knowledge. Something that'll help them and their company. Something that might make them look like a hero to their boss or to their team. Maybe value is awareness to a problem that they have or something that is happening in their industry. Value can be anything that accomplishes these goals, but more times than not, it's all about education. Think white papers, webinars, ebooks, things like that. If you're looking for a good example, think about this very webinar. If I do my job correctly, the content will be relevant to you, to your company, to how you can improve your own performance in your job. I believe that the knowledge that I'm sharing is going to create value for you and your company and help you create more sales, more revenue. Back to how action-based calling works. Remember that action-based calling comes from intentionality. It's a combination of strategy, planning, and deliberate actions. It's also a process where you only call the leads that have taken action. So once you know your target audience and the value that you want to provide, here's what you do. Build a lead list that's aligned to your target audience. Invest in the best data that you can. Create a series of emails that are short, to the point, and that contain a link to a landing page. It's really important that these emails should be about the offering versus describing your product, your service, or your company. Stand up the landing page referenced in your email. This is where your educational piece is going to live. Organize your lead list into manageable groups so that you can call in waves. Send your emails with an email tool that can track opens and click-throughs when someone actually opens your email and clicks on the link to go to your landing page. And then monitor your email sends and call anyone that clicks on the link to your landing page. This is really important. I recommend calling those people within 2 hours if you can. Side note, your success is going to go up dramatically the sooner you can call, really dramatically. And when you do call and get a conversation, describe to them what you sent and ask them if they'd like to learn more. In our case, I'd say, hey, I emailed you a few hours ago with a link to a webinar on lead generation. It's a great webinar if you're looking for ways to generate more leads for your sales team. And then I'd see where the conversation went from there. But I would be focused on continuing to offer value. For example, if there was some interest in this webinar conversation, I'd offer to send the link again. I'd mention that we also have an ebook. I'd mention other resources that might be a good fit. Your goal is actually interest around your value topic. It's not about your offering. Unless the lead takes the conversation there. In that case, then you have permission, you have interest to start talking about your company and what you do. And for all the leads that don't pick up, I'd leave a short voicemail that invited them to the webinar, and then I would send what I call a post voicemail email. This post voicemail email is magic. It's a 2-sentence email that indicates you just left a voicemail, repeats our simple value-based call to action, and you send it right after you leave the voicemail. It might seem like overkill, but trust me, the post voicemail email is gold. Before we move off this topic, let's actually go through the numbers. How many leads does it take to get an appointment with action-based calling? Well, a hell of a lot less than with traditional calling. Let's start with a lead list of 100 leads, just like we did in the traditional cold calling example. But now, instead of calling all 100 leads, we just call the leads that opened our email and clicked on the link. If your offer is really good, you could have 10% of the leads you emailed click on your link. In this example, let's say it's 5%. That 5% of the leads clicked on your link in your email. So that's great. Now you have 5 leads to call, not 100 like with traditional cold calling. If you call those 5 leads quickly and either have a conversation or leave a voicemail and follow that voicemail up with an email, then you could see 50% of the leads either have a conversation with you or reply to your voicemail email. And if you're really lucky, you might actually get a call back. Of those 5 leads, you could have 75% respond favorably. In this case, move to an appointment, which would be almost 2 leads in this example. So if you look at the math and compare the results from the traditional cold call model, we are looking at an over 900% improvement. Calling 500 leads in the old model yielded 1 appointment, only 1 appointment. Doing action-based calling with 500 leads generates between 9 and 10 appointments. Wow, right? Goodbye, Dodo Bird. We found a better way. So what's next? It's simple. Start doing this. Start changing the way you do outbound. Start getting smarter, more efficient. And guess what? You'll find that it's actually fun, that people want to talk to you, and that it works. So, as I wrap up, I want to share 2 common questions that I get asked a lot. The first one, how do we move to this model if we're already running a traditional cold calling program? I think that's a good question, and would imagine many of you are in that situation right now. Maybe it's part of your job that you cold call every day, or you just want to share this concept with your leadership team and are looking for some advice. So my recommendation would be to create a plan. Spend some time developing a compelling value piece like a webinar or an ebook. The example that always works for me is do something around the top trends in your target audience's industry. And then once you've built that, create the related emails and talk tracks so you're really nailing the message. After that, it's really all about a comparison test. My advice, record the performance of 2 weeks of your current model and then run a test against this new model, this action-based calling model. Record lessons learned, successes, and then just compare the results. And if you do this, I'd actually schedule some check-in meetings too with the key stakeholders and really agree to evaluate the program in a constructive way, collaboratively. And if you're the advocate for this change, this is something you really want to do, then I'd consider volunteering to spearhead this program so it stays top of mind and you see it through. And the second question that I get asked a lot is, where can this model go wrong? Are there risk points? So there's a few things that are really important if you run an action-based calling program. The first one is, don't mass email your list. Keep your email waves in small chunks, small batches, say 50 to 100 emails. Let me tell you why. If you mass email thousands of leads at a time, you really do run the risk of your emails being labeled as spam, and that's never good. And to make matters worse, if your emails do start to get stuck in spam, then your email domain will start to get associated with spam in general, and even your one-off emails can get stuck in the junk email folders of your current leads and your current customers. But probably most importantly, with this whole mass email and why you should never do it, is you're not going to be able to keep up with the clicks. And data shows again and again and again that if you can call people within an hour or 2 of them clicking in your email, your performance is going to be 5 to 10 times greater than if you wait even half a day or a full day. So really the risk with the mass email is you can't get all those clicks. And that's the whole reason you're doing this. You're contacting people that have taken an action. It's why it's called action-based calling. So that's really it. I want to thank you again for sticking with me. And if you have other questions or just want to talk about action-based calling, reach out. I'd love to have a conversation. And if you're looking for a partner to help with this, we can do that too. Thank you again, and good luck selling.